a lot of meta slavery in the LEC and LCS, so I'm excited to see some interesting and spicy picks, especially because we have Rap Terror over there. Maybe we're going to see the Rap Kench.
I'm curious to see what picks are going to come through because, as always, in some of these leagues, comfort is king. It's a trend that we've sort of built up over the years here in FOF as well. And I think that it still reigns true, especially in the early season when you're still trying to figure out what works for your team. I remember last year when I was on that's how you pronounce the team name, by the way. We just picked whatever we kind of felt like, and it worked out for the most part. Got to play NASA support at some point. So, sometimes you just got to pull out the NASA support to really get your feet under you here. And I am interested to see how Fat Pikachu do because, of course, a 2-0 start to the season, equaling their win total from previous seasons when they got their 2 wins via FF. I want to see if they can continue this upward trend.
Yeah, and as we see the first pick come out, it's going to be a Kindred. Looking at the bans, there's a lot of mid lane focus. We got, it's especially if you consider the Kaisa mid that's been showing up recently in some of the regions, but they do pick the Kindred. Be interesting to see if Trucy Vivarium, if I'm saying that correctly, can get those early marks and really start to pop off and be the terrible enemy team Kindred that I'm used to seeing in solo queue. Syndra comes through from side of Fat Pikachu. I'm also excited to see that they have restrained themselves from hovering Kennen for the maximum amount of time in the draft. So shouts out to that.
Yeah, I remember in the lock-in tournament or the pre-tournament thing that was around the one-shot, we had Fat Pikachu versus Pikasmon. We just all hovered Kennen before everything started. It was kind of fun with that. But Kenny Train opting for the Kha'Zix here, and this is an interesting matchup considering how aggressive Kha'Zix can get in that early game. Kindred, she can be quite strong. They can be very strong in that early game as well, but it's a different kind of strong. You're really trying to work towards those marks. You're really trying to skirmish. Kha'Zix is a jungler that can really match that in the same way. I'm interested to see how this mid-jungle duo sort of plays out, especially on the opposite side with Red the Chair, who did have a very strong performance on the Annie last week, and the Echo gets locked in. This is a old school counter to the Syndra here.
Yeah, and I am very excited by the lack of bot lane priority that we're seeing in this draft. The 2 junglers, as you pointed out, very aggressive early. Both of them have their advantages and disadvantages. Of course, Kindred, once she hits 3, can be really aggressive if you run into her in the river. So it'll be interesting to see if those 2 can find each other. If they pass like ships in the night, trying to invade each other. But the Blitzcrank does, in fact, get locked in. So they are showing one half of their bot lane duo here. Let's see whether they're going to answer with support on the side of Fat Pikachu.
And I'm intrigued to see this Blitzcrank locked in. Last week, I had the opportunity to cast for Olympus Amber as well, and Crazy J was playing the Leona and literally started the game like 1-8 or something, just going in permanently, basically living up to the name by finding crazy engages in that essence. On the flip side, though, Women Enjoyer, who I believe is not playing this one, instead it is Truchi Vivarium on the opposite side, was just able to feed off of that, really scale into the later stages. Olympus Amber last week, for the record, had a game where it went 44 minutes. There was 2 kills a minute. There was 92 total kills at the end of it. An incredible game coming through. But Rapterra just going to keep it simple here, going with the Janna, trying to play as much disengage as possible, because you've got 3 engaged champions already picked up by Olympus Amber.
Now looking at the second half of the bans, you do see 2 AD carries, 2 of the more dangerous AD carries that can definitely snowball in the likes of the Draven and the Samira getting banned out. And then, of course, the Shen is going to be banned out against Kestavis. Could be very good to support when you're going to have the 2 AD carries on your team, since they already have the Kindred locked in, most likely another AD carry coming in on their side. So we'll have to see what Olympus wants to ban out here, as Fat Pikachu is going to get this first pick here, and it's another AD carry ban, so it's very interesting. The bot lane seems to be quite an afterthought here. Looks like it's going to be a very dangerous top side of the map. With the junglers that are very aggressive assassins, Kindred being an AD carry, but she can invade you early in that regard. And then the ultimate assassin, Ornn, is being hovered here from Fat Pikachu, and I think it'd be a really good way to give themselves some bulk, some extra CC in their comp, and they're going to lock it in.
Yeah, the Ornn gets locked in. It's not going to be the Kennen or the Zeri. The 2 Pikachu champions won't get opted into for the side of Fat Pikachu, unfortunately. Would have loved to see that live up to the name, but Poppy on the opposite side, this is a frontliner that Kestivus can really use to try and shut down Stormblast as much as possible. I think that is important considering the comp that you've already found. But once again, she's another champion that has engage potential. You can go in with that Poppy. You can be the first one on the scene. It just seems as if Olympus Amber know one direction, and that is in.
And the one thing about this Poppy lock-in that's really good is that typically I've been seeing it more often played in the jungle with the Kindred locked in. This is obviously going to be up there on the top side. And what I like about the Poppy is, one, you are going to be able to stop the jump of the Kha'Zix if he decides to show his face up there. Of course, ganking for your Ornn is probably not the priority. But the other thing is later in the game when you get into these 5v5 team fights, will Kestivus be able to block any of the Ornn ultimates by stopping the little headbutt that he has to do to get the redirect? So we get the Ezreal lock-in, the ultimate everyman as 80 carry rather for Ezreal. Just gives him a little bit of poke, a little bit of way to play around the outside of these fights and have some survivability, escapability for their 80 carry, since there's not going to be a lot of peel directly for him. It's going to be a lot of trying to engage on the other team, and then the Jhin is going to be rounding out this draft.
And I'm interested to see how this plays out, all things considered. The Xayah was hovered for a little bit there, and I almost would have preferred that, considering you've got a Blitzcrank hook, a Poppy jumping at you, an Echo diving in on you. You have that ultimate to give you that extra form of safety. Jhin still has that extra little bit of mobility in terms of that movement speed, but still, you can get chased down. You can get sort of slowed up here by this Poppy, by this Echo, by this Blitzcrank, all of them chasing you down in the same regard. So I want to see how Blackpink Trash plays this out. Thus far, after 2 games, very small sample size, has the highest KDA in the league. Will they be able to protect that? It is yet to be determined here. But of course, hopping into this one shortly, Fat Pikachu trying to protect their perfect record, whereas on the flip side, Olympus Amber trying to make sure that there are no perfect teams after this week, or at least doing their part in doing so. Nonetheless, we are on to the Rift, the first matchup of this week, and already you can see Crazy J looking for a little bit of action, walking right up onto that top side, looking for a pull.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
And of course, the other thing to note here as we look at this top side invade is I was wanted to point out the little Pride trail that the Syndra had. So we still have those in the game. That was pretty cool for the home guards. But we do have the invading, just some trading of some simple early game vision. Both junglers gonna drop their vision, go back, switch out for the sweepers, common. So the one thing is that they're gonna know for the likes of Olympus Amber where the Kha'Zix is starting. But they might not have the same information the other way around. Of course, they did get the Pixel Ward warded, but they don't know necessarily whether he's going to now go onto the bot side and path up towards the Echo. But a little bit
That's
of trade
40
here.
gold.
Just trying to get that early brush advantage. So,
and it is pivotal to get that against the Blitzcrank. If you give up that mid-bush control, you're basically giving over the whole lane, but Pull coming down into Raptor needs to be careful. Taken down already to 200 HP. That is the push and pull of the Janna Blitzcrank lane. Quite literally, if you get pulled, you're in trouble. If you're able to push them back with that tornado, then you're in a little bit better shape. But nonetheless, that brush control that you were talking about, now seeded over to the side of Crazy J, who can just sit there and doesn't even need to look for the pull. Can just be a menace sitting there the entire time.
Sorry, 1 second. I just accidentally clicked on my screen. I'm used to being the observer, so I clicked I clicked on my screen and I unminimized the game. Sorry. Anyway, back to the game. We are seeing the clear for the Kha'Zix headed down towards. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, another pull coming down to Raptor. Forward is Aqua Domain. Finishing it off, though, is Crazy J's Ignite. Dropping down the fire. Drop the mixtape on the Janna. She's going to be in flames. First blood going over to Olympus Amber.
I'm over here trying to look at the jungle camps and catch up on what I had missed in the second. And, it's just Hook City down on the bot side. Crazy J acting totally crazy. Getting those hooks. Raptor just gets a free base. Gets to come back with the pink ward. And just going to have to make sure don't get hit there.
Some trading on the top side there, nothing too crazy, but Kenny Train on this bottom side. Crazy J is isolated, have to be careful in that situation. The jump to follow will be good. That mana shield just providing a little bit of extra utility, but Blackpink Trash gonna chase it down. The Jhin gets back on the board. Raptor didn't quite enjoy that mixtape as much, said, hey, boys, let's get him.
Yeah, Truchi was on the way on the bot side, but the Kazakhs just got there a little quicker, and of course, it's gonna make a showing mid too.
Oh, Kenny Train might have enough damage. The first strike providing an extra little bit of utility, an extra little bit of damage. Gonna be the flash out of Red the Chair, who has had a little bit of a rough time in this lane. That's what you expect in ranged versus melee, but Truchi Vivarium looking for this mark at the very least. Do they have their smite available? They don't. They need to try and get this. Kenny Train gonna flash forward for it as well. Truchi Vivarium is going to get cut down where they lie. Fear the weak, says Kazakhs, and praise on it as well.
That is not what you want to see when you have the Kindred on your team. That's just unlucky. With the early marks, they do show up on the crabs, and then you just have to RNG which side of the map it's going to be on. Of course, pathing bot side for the initial clear, it was always going to sort of be a toss up whether he's going to get back up there in time to clear that, and just unlucky for Truchi Vivarium there. Kenny Train really putting on a masterclass here with the early jungle attention in the lanes.
And of course, Truchi Vivarium actually means Kennel of the Beast. We looked this up just while we were curious about it. Unfortunately, thus far, they aren't the beast. They're just in the kennel right now, really struggling to get things going. And Red the Chair is about to struggle even harder here. Kenny Train coming up here with Raptor. Gonna land that stun on the parallel convergence, but tossing the orbs down. The last little tick of damage is gonna come through from Jakunk. Just gonna be that last little auto attack, clearing up that kill. Fat Pikachu out to a nice early game lead. Seems as if they're just going to back off on the top side as well, taking their victories where they lie and just slowly mounting up about 1,000 gold advantage.
And the most deadly Janna gank in the world, the Janna roamed in mid lane, syncing up with Kenny Train, who's just absolutely terrorizing the Echo. He's just really not having a good time for Red the Chair. They're going to transition this into getting the dragon and start this stacking, although it looks like that they're going to try and poke him out a little bit while he's doing this, and they think better of it as Crazy J is up towards the top side of the river. So they get these dragons stacking, so we subtract the cloud from the equation, and we'll get an idea of where we are headed for our rift here in a second, and it looks like Infernal is slot number 2. So that narrows down what our rifts can be in the future. Start the dragon stacking, and of course, when you are an early game champion like the Kazakhs, he of course picks up the serrated Dirk. This extra AD is going to be really nice.
And meanwhile, mid lane, Truchi Vivarium trying to find a little bit of action, get on the board against Jakunk. This Syndra is level 6 though. Backing off is that Kindred. Wolf just gonna try and eat something. A little bit hungry out there. It's around dinner time. Gotta get that little bite to eat. But nonetheless, thus far, Fat Pikachu have done a great job of just sort of holding their leads where they lie. But you can see Olympus Amber aren't giving up quite yet. The gold difference really is just through those 2 kills. Nothing more than that. Granted, a little bit of damage being taken by Red the Chair. Not too much of a trade as Jakunk just gonna toss him back.
Yeah, the CS difference being matched mid lane, the difference in top and the difference in mid about offset each other. And of course, when you're the Ornn, you get all the free items later in the game with such a huge gold infusion. So you're chilling. If you get pushed in and you're not dying, like you're doing your job. In any game that I have an Ornn, you don't need to get a kill. In fact, you can die once or twice, but as long as you're not like overextending, getting greedy on the top side here.
Yeah, might actually be Kestavus who's getting greedy on that top side. Tried to find a trade on the Stormbless. Will get struck down by the hammer. Once again, another great gank coming through from Kenny Train, who's been in every single kill. This is what you want out of your jungler in the early game. You want to find those early kill participations.
And to the point I was just making, when you get pushed in like that, and if you can hold the wave there and farm it out there, yeah, you might have to drop a few CS here and there, but you leave such a strong opening for a jungler like a Kazakhs to come through and expose someone. Oh, yeah, I figured that was coming. So has to expend the ultimate. The ultimate's still available for Jakunk. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I did not look at the sheet. But still, A lot of pressure being put onto this Echo, not able to complete the Proto Belt yet, not going to have quite the amount of danger. Once he gets that online, it can be a little risky if Jakunk finds himself without his flash. Could have an execute threshold there.
Yeah, and if we can actually get our observer to just double check on how many marks True Chief Vivarium has actually picked up thus far, this is what I'm interested in. Because Kindred sort of comes online around that 4 mark point. She has 0. She has not been able to use an essential part of her kit to get that extra range, to get that extra execute damage down on her E as well. You really need to try and find as many angles as possible if you're True Chief Vivarium to get on the board, to try and get a kill for yourself in one of these lanes. As far as I know, they've left this mark on Kenny Train for the last 9 minutes, and unfortunately, Kenny Train has just gone opposite map, has punished each and every time that True Chief Vivarium tries to make a play. Granted, this is the first time where they're given a little bit of room to work with. They will collect this Rift Herald, and at the very least, it's a neutral going back towards Olympus Amber. This could lead to a solid 350 to 400 gold going in their favor if they can get some plates with it.
Yeah, by no means is this game over at all. The gold difference just a little over 1,000, all things told. Seeing a little pressure mid. But yeah, you know, you never want to see the early game Kha'Zix assassin jungler getting off to an early start like that. It makes you sit up a little straighter in your chair. You're gonna have to pay a little bit more attention, especially when you're a champion like Kindred, where so much of your agency of the game is also tied up in what you need to get done by getting your marks going. So as long as they can, you know, stay steady, give themselves some time to scale into this game. Like I said, Proto Belt for Echo, let Kindred get some of these marks. They're totally fine. They have the safety of the Ezreal that's going to, you know, they don't have to worry too much, all things told, about the danger for their bot lane. And Blitzcrank's going to give them the danger of being able to hook people, some of their mobile carries like the Jhin and the Syndra as they get into some of these mid-game team fights. So there's still a lot of tools in the toolbox, still a lot of opportunities left for Olympus in this game. But it's just going to require them to sort of tune things up, play a little smarter as we transition to the mid-game here.
Yeah, and that first mythic item on the board belongs to Kenny Train. Duskblade of Drakthar will be completed at around that 10-minute mark. Great early start coming through, but they're going to look for a play on this bottom side. True Chief Vivarium has tossed down that Rift Herald. The pull going to come onto the Jhin as well. Might get ourselves a little bit of a scuffle on this bottom side. Lamb's Respite goes down. The Rift Herald will still charge, but rooted up here is True Chief Vivarium. Ends up being just a 1-for-1 trade for the time being. The Rift Herald charge does come through, so that gold that we were talking about starting to eke back to about 1,000 gold once again. But Olympus Amber, they'll take that every day of the week. At least they got a kill onto this Kindred, as well as a couple of power plates.
Exactly, yeah. The gold infusion going to the Kindred, whether or not they were able to actually get the mark again.
Ooh. The chair needs to be careful. One last auto attack might just do it. Ooh. It's the Dark Sphere that clears it out. Did not have that ultimate available. Jakunk finds the solo kill in the counter matchup. That is not what you want to see if you're the side of Olympus Amber. Stormbless a little bit bored on this top side. Hammer versus Hammer, who wins? No one apparently. They just trade even as the dragon goes over to the side of Fat Pikachu once again.
And the lack of update from the observer. If you can click on the dragon pit for us, please, because it's not updating. So it's got it Chemtech, because it's either Hextech or Chemtech, because it has no icon. So we're getting that Chemtech map. We're gonna get the empowered, all the empowered plants and such. So that'll be interesting to see if they're able to utilize this as we transition to the mid game. That gold lead's expanding to just about a little under 2,000. But still, the gold infusion for the Kindred getting much closer to completing their first item here. Still not changing their mark.
Yeah, not going to change the mark, but will look for a Raptor nonetheless. The teleport forced out from Jakunk there as well. So overall, a decent trade over. You know, True Chief Vivarium didn't drop anything. It was the ultimate burned by the Jen of the Monsoon used to disengage, and now Raptor might still be in trouble. No flash available going forward is Red the Chair. Ultimate gonna come down. The static field finds another one. Knockup now coming through onto Jakunk as well. Will unleash the power on to True Chief Vivarium. Ends up being a trade back though, and now this Kindred with 3 kills. Still no marks, but now has that Trinity Force online.
Oh, I mean that's the true tragedy of it. Does get the gold to complete the Trinity Force. It's looking good for the golden fusion for the jungler, especially since they've been sacrificing camps to make this happen as the Kindred, but they still have their mark set on the Kazakhs. They can't. When are they gonna get this mark, bro? I mean, the next crab is coming up on the top side. Kazakhs is right there. I think he's about to grief him for the crab. It looks like there's a little engaged topside though.
Yeah, you can see Stormblast just knows that Kenny Train is in the area. Kestivus needs to be very careful as to when they use their Keeper's Verdict exactly right there to get them out, but the Ornhorn comes through. Teleport now coming in for Red the Chair, who has that ultimate to get out of dodge if necessary. Stormblast needs to be careful. We'll just walk everything out, and it's all for naught, as nothing ends up coming out of that engage on the top side, apart from... Look at what True Chief of Arms doing that crab at the same time. Red the Chair, though, will get shut down. Kenny Train just jumping over it. It's a mark for Kindred, but it's the loss of life for Echo.
Yo, if you're in solo queue, you just mute your Echo and take the crab.
Yeah, there might be more coming through as Kestivus needs to be careful. Great Lamb's Respite gonna stop that kill from going down. The Poppy will limp away with a sliver. True Chief of Arium helping out the team with that one, but still... Fat Pikachu, they're finding their advantages nonetheless. Yeah, it's a 1 mark on the Kindred, but it doesn't matter until you get 4.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you're the Kindred, you got 3 kills, you're on the comeback, you got your mythic completed. Echo still does not have that proto belt. Like I said, just mute Echo, take the crab, start stacking your marks. And you just unmute and say, better jungle wins at the end of the game when you get the Nexus. So still a chance for Truchi to stack here. This new tech with the reworked Trinity Force, really strong on the Kindred. Compared to the old school Kraken Slayer. Now that the items have been reworked, we're seeing Truchi still with the Kazakhs mark. I mean, I respect it, honestly, to put the other jungler on notice, but goddamn.
Yeah, it's commitment. 15 minutes of commitment is quite a lot to just not change your mark. You've had opportunities on the bottom side of the map onto Raptera, who didn't have flash for a significant amount of that stage where True Chief of Arm was starting to participate on the map, and now on this top side, once again, a little bit more engagements coming down. You can see Kestivus is starting to feel a little bit better about this matchup with that Iceborne Gauntlet already completed. Stormblast is really just taking it on the chin here, trying to clear out this wave. Kestivus doesn't quite have that kill threat that you're looking for, doesn't have the 30% to 0 that you might be able to find. Jakuk, though, gonna find Red the Chair across in that mid lane, and hey, it's another kill in that counter matchup. Jakunk has been incredible on the Syndra over the last couple months.
Yeah, to quote,
might be a little bit more of an engage. Oh, it's just teasing us a little bit. Kenny Train, though, going to jump forward. Needs to be careful, though, taking a decent amount of damage on the way out. Now going forward is Aqua Domain with his ultimate. Raptera will get torn down. Ends up working out on this bottom side. It looked as if it wasn't going to happen, and then it happened. And hey, not bad.
They got a little bit of a tale of 2 lanes going on here. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the best of times on the bot side as they are able to convert that kill. But in the mid lane, it's not looking good for your boy. Hopefully, mental, keep the mental. The rest of your team is, active. They're making plays. This is the kind of person in solo queue you're like, hey, trust, please. Don't go AFK in Fountain. The Kindred able to convert this for their first dragon of the game, as they are going to have to trade the Rift Herald, looks like, for the privilege. But so far so good for them, as long as they're able to stay in this game. As we get later into the game, gold differences as it's still about the 2,000 gold mark, those get the further on you get in the game, the less those kind of differences matter. Early on in the game, those 1,000 or 2,000 gold can be quite a bit. So as long as they stay steady, they continue to stick to the plan, play for these objectives, let their Kindred scale. I think Olympus Amber is still in a very good spot in this game, and we've seen that Kenny Train, still dangerous, still deadly, but he's not the star of the show anymore. Now we're looking at Jakunk here is mostly getting a lot of kills, or a lot of gold rather, through their pressure and the mid lane, getting the minions as well as getting the kills on red. So the Kazakhs is slowing down, a little oopsie with casting the Rift Herald on the top side, it looks like, 'cause they cast it in the jungle.
Yeah, now Raptor just going to be trying to get away from this one. Great stopwatch to at least avoid this Ezreal getting that kill. Nonetheless, Aqua Domain might still clear this one out. Actually, Raptor might have just burnt enough time. Yeah, Crazy J is going to pick it up with the big ol' hand. The kill on that opposite side to finish out a nice score line, but on this top side now, Kestavis in trouble. True Vivarium trying to find a way out. A little bit of anti-synergy there as Kestavis is out of dodge. Doesn't need the Lamb's respite, but the shutdown given over. Onto that Ornn there. Just going to give him a couple of extra tanky stats there. Like now, over the wall goes Red the Chair. Doesn't have that ultimate available either. It's to try and escape. Kenny Train, though, taking a decent amount of damage on the way out. Means that it's a net neutral here in terms of Red the Chair and Kenny Train's HP. Crazy J flashing forward, living up to the name. Flashing forward is Red the Chair as well. And they have finally shut down the bug. Splat in the jungle as Olympus Amber answer back.
That is huge because, of course, the gold is going on to the Echo that has been suffering this game. That golden infusion. They just got the proto belt online.
Wow.
Ooh. You hate to see it.
That's a lot of damage, and like that was basically just all. That was 500 health in 1 second. Just nothing. One shot, basically.
Yeah, alternator proc and Q getting, or the orb just getting dropped on him. Just rough. But like we were saying, they do at least get the shutdown gold on the Echo, so he looks like he's going towards the Lichbane route in this regard. Maybe a little bit of split pushing could be in his future. Remains to be seen. But the Kindred has the Trinity Force, and looks like they're gonna continue to. Can we get a mark update on Kindred? I haven't seen if she's been getting any marks from her jungle camps. She's still at 1. Damn.
Yeah, a little bit of a rough go with things.
Effort. Yeah.
He still has the mark on Kha'Zix.
It's crazy.
It's actually getting a little bit insane. Okay, like, I could respect it if they were looking for the Kha'Zix, but it just feels as if they've been playing on opposite sides of the map. Chat,
just go Google sunken cost fallacy, okay? And we'll leave
yeah, you know what? 95% of Kindreds move their mark before they find the kill onto their target. Raptor, though, taking a lot of damage. Kenny Train has to jump over that wall. We've always been teased at these potential team fights breaking out, but yet nothing has really come through as a full, what we could call a team fight yet. It's been a lot of just skirmishes, 2v2s, 3v3s, nothing that has really been a 5v5 around one of these objectives. And now I ask you, Edgeworth, with Dragon, soul point potentially for Fat Pikachu spawning in a minute with Baron up on the table, when are we going to get it? Because we've sort of just been sitting here waiting for it to happen for a little while. True Chief of Arium, though, might just be a sitting duck. Oh boy.
All right.
Yeah, and then nothing happens.
I would have to say, honestly, I think that I've made this point multiple. I forget which game it was, but I made this very pointed point. I was like, oh well, you don't need to fight for the soul point. Soul point is not good. If you can combat it, but you need to fight for the soul, not the soul point. So if they feel like they will be better suited to wait this out, as he does get blopped.
Yeah, Red the Chair is going to have to try and go back. It's not going to matter. Jakun got 87 gold off of the first strike proc there. That's a lot of extra true damage that you're getting through from the Syndra. Teleport in from Kestavis to keep the tower alive, but this Echo, despite it being sort of that counter, has been anything but thus far. Jakun has just controlled this lane. It is up 3,000 gold. They are the gold lead at this point, effectively.
Yeah, so this is where the calculus comes in, especially with your mid laner gone. It looks like they're going to full engage on Jakun.
Yeah, they're going to have to try and find something. Jakun going to get pulled back. Absolutely no chance to escape that one, but now we might finally get a little bit more of a fight. The Ornn Horn going to come down, lands onto 3 of them on public display in the middle of everyone. They find multiple members, but the Lamb's Respite going to keep everyone alive for at least a little bit longer. Raptor trying to stay alive on the back end of this fight, but confined in the back is Kenny Train trying to find everyone. Finds 2 at the very least, and now Kestavis going to be the only one left alive. Look who's teleporting in, though. Red the Chair is going to arrive, but will not be able to find any value as the Keeper's Verdict keeps them out of danger. It was a good look coming through from Olympus Amber, but really nothing ended up happening for them. They didn't get the dragon. They just sort of staved off total decimation.
Yeah, this is the opportunity cost, so to speak. If you think that the fight is better to take on the next dragon, you should always just push waves and get gold while they're not getting gold, as Red the Chair just explores a little bit, wastes his ultimate. But it looks like they were sort of opting into that fight there once they felt like, hey, Jakunk is kind of the problem here. We can get him off the map and then maybe try and fight it. I'm guessing that was the calculus there. I feel like if Truchi had been able to hold on to that ultimate a little longer, they might have been able to position a little better and stop the dunking from Kenny Train, as he's able to get the double dunk off from the reset on the E. But you know, it's starting to get to that point where they're gonna need to get that good fight in their hands, or Truchi's just gonna be looking at them getting this Dragon Soul and forcing them into a Baron fight that they're probably not gonna be able to contest at all.
Yeah, and with the gold difference now starting to climb up towards 5K, that's when you start to still worry at this point in the game. We're not late game enough to a point where you can just, 5K is nothing. It's still quite significant. It's a full item difference between the two mid laners right now, and that is the main focal point. Even on the bot side of the map, despite Aqua Domain doing a good job at staying alive, it has not been as good as Blackpink Trash, who is improving on their KDA thus far, 2-0 and 4, 2.5 items. We were worried about this Jhin and Draft not having enough mobility to avoid some of these engagements, but thus far it has been fine. But now might be a little bit of a fight on the top side of the map. They're going to pull the trigger to go in here. A couple of members from the side of Fat Pikachu have to back off. They're trying to cut through this Ornn with anything that they can, but the Ornn is just a little bit too tanky. The simplicity of this fight leads it to an Ornn Horn just being wasted as multiple members now coming through. United are the side of Fat Pikachu moving forward in this group. Can't really find anything, though, as once again we're teased with a fight and nothing quite erupts. A little bit of poke going back the opposite way, but look at who's on the opposite side of the map. Red the Chair is just taken down at that bot lane turret.
Oh, and looks like Ezreal's just gonna get tapped there by the...
Looks as if they're gonna open up here with that Jhin ultimate. Jakku just does so much damage. Before we can even get the words out, it is Churchy Vivarium and Kessler is taken off of the table. Moving over towards this Baron now as a group are the side of Fat Pikachu. Kenny Train's already there. It's going to be a teleport answer from the side of Stormblast to just prevent another tower from going down. But at the very least, this is going to be multiple members with Baron. It's going to be a 7,000 gold advantage for Fat Pikachu. They're in the driver's seat, and it doesn't feel like they've ever sort of given that up either.
I really liked what I was seeing there for a minute. They had the split push going, and they forced Fat Pikachu to commit as 5 for that to defend the tower and defend the play. And then as they were just kiting back, I was like, okay, that's good. You're gonna have the TP coming up for Poppy, which is up just now, right before Poppy comes back from the fountain. And this is gonna set them up for getting ready for this dragon, which, like I was saying earlier, this is the one that you really got to contest. So. Like you're saying, it's not entirely out of the realm. It is now creeping up to about 8K now. But I think the key here is that they are really going to have to make sure that they shut down Jakunk at the start of this fight. The Jhin is starting to reach that point where they do damage. But of course you do have the ornaments coming in pretty soon here. Ornn already got his Jack Show upgraded to the Eternal Parasite, I want to say. They all have cool names.
The Unspoken Parasite.
Unspoken Parasite, there you go.
Yes, and the Gale Force is the Typhoon. That one's pretty straightforward. I remember I made a tier list of these names at one point.
Oh, was that you? I remember.
I made one at some point, and then they add new ones, and it's like it gets crazy after that. There's like the Gwynsu's one is like Eternal Suffering or something like that, or something Sorrow. It's pretty grim. Like, it's kind of scary. Some of these names are good. Riot does a good job at naming things, for the most part, I think.
Okay, good news is Olympus Amber has control of the river. Bad news, their vision is not particularly good, and they are not going to be able to keep that if they actually try and push in here. So we have about 45 seconds left. Red the Chair is split pushing the bot lane. Just going to push that wave into the mid lane. Just let it crash, get this wave pushing in onto the tier 2 bot, and then get up here. But it's looking at Blitzcrank. I don't see any wards in the ward stone, so they're not going to have any ability to put down any lasting vision beyond what they already have down.
And I think a major issue as well that might erupt is the fact that they're down 5,000 gold and they don't have control over any waves, but Kestivus now moving forward, speculating at a fight here, but Crazy J is just going to get taken out of the fight so early on. It's a double kill picked up for Jakunk as well.
Bring the game back up. You can switch to the client. Check your sources.
Something is happening. There's lots of damage going down.
Well, you guys see what's up.
Yeah. Okay.
My
Pikachu win!
Woo! Yo, Bill, make sure that your sources are stacked appropriately and that the sources are linked to the right things. I think something got unlinked. Happens. Did your client crash?
Blue team's turret has been destroyed.
Can you turn off the source that is this one? Can you switch the other? Do you have two sources? One for the victory screen and one for the client? Yeah. Hey!
We're back.
Hey!
Jakun got a bunch of kills there. Blackfang Trash got a bunch of kills. Fat Pikachu got the soul, and the rest of it, we know what happens at this point. Oh, we'll just pretend like we don't. We'll pretend like we don't.
Yeah. Nah, it's you're chilling.
Nonetheless.
Production be hard.
Nah,
I mean,
has to play safe.
They got this though. Olympus is they're right. They're walking into their trap.
That's the most copious cake we could have at this point. Stormbless taking up a whole bunch of damage. Jakunk says, "Who cares about that? You don't even have time to go back to your Shadow Red the chair." Jakunk is very fed. As the Eye of Ludin now picked up as well. That's probably one of the worst Ornn item names if we're being real. But True Vivarum now needs to try and stay alive against the Jhin Ultimate. Actually, is able to create enough distance, but it seems as if it's more so a formality at this point with how everything is turning out. Fat Pikachu, their 2 victories last week, they were legit victories, and they want to make sure that they're one of the teams to trifle with in this league as they continue their march forward into the base of Olympus Amber. Not really a whole lot left for Olympus Amber to do unless Crazy J is able to find a hook. Forces out a flash at the very least from Rapterror. Seems as if Olympus Amber will live to see another day.
Yeah, and this is a little bit of prolonging the end, even though we know how it ends. They opt to just go back, get a little bit more gold. Of course, the Baron's coming up pretty soon. They have 2 inhibitors, so the waves are going to be pushing in. They know Olympus is probably not going to try and show up and contest them, so they're opting to take the the logical, slow and steady way to win this game, which is cringe. They should just flip it. But whatever.
Yeah,
I guess
they should just
want to win.
They gotta go for it. At some point, you just have to go for it. But 13,000 gold is a significant gold lead at 30 minutes. It's a significant gold lead no matter where you are in the game in a lot of ways. True Vivarium not even gonna have a chance to take away that blue buff. I'm looking at the experience as well. You can see it's 2 levels up on Kenny Train. It's 3 levels up on Jakunk. It's 3 levels up on Blackfang Trash. They've had a fantastic time at just continuing to push their advantages further and further ahead. True Vivarium is getting a little bit testy here. Gonna force out that Lamb's Respite, but 117 bonus gold off of the first strike. True Vivarium literally lives that with 1 HP because that ult is supposed to execute, and because it can't execute, you're in the Lamb's Respite, it leaves you with 1 HP. That's unfortunate.
Well, I'm curious to see the one other thing to look at is will Jhin. I did not see in the post game. I did not look at the stat. Oh, that's
yep. What are we supposed to say at this point? It's just so much damage. Kenny Train though jumping into the back line, looking for even more. So much damage coming through from everyone. A double kill picked up by Jakunk. Another one picked up by Kenny Train. Kestivus will knock back 1, but the jump reset will come down. Ooh, might be a little bit testy onto Kenny Train here. Never mind. Heals come through from Rapterror once again as True Vivarium is going to be waddling out into the jungle. There's absolutely nothing that they can do at this point to try and save this one. They'll just take some wolves. They'll improve their CS per minute stats. And 3 marks at the end of this game is True Vivarium's total.
Oh.
an unfortunate situation for them. They're going to tower as well. Yeah, Churchy River, I'm taking so much damage. They're going to be going in there. Kenny Train's going to be the one to jump in. It's the ace picked up as Fat Pikachu. We saw it a couple minutes ago. We know it now for sure. They take this game number 1 of this night.
Blackpink trash, truly trash. Did not get the what is it, the Flame Horizon. That's what I was about to say before that last fight kicked off. Just a little under 10 CS away from the 100 CS over mark. So cringe, could have done better. But overall, this I guess finally solidifies that Fat Pikachu has real wins that people could or even should respect. So well done to them.
And they should respect the large Pikachu, the massive rodent, the enormous electric mouse at any point in time. But of course, we are going to head to a break here before we get an interview with Stormbless of Fat Pikachu. Walk us through how that game went, and then we will be back with you with Game 2 just after this break. Don't go anywhere.
Hello, folks. Chris Edgeworth here with our first interview of the night, joined by Stormblessed top laner of the victorious, the now 3-0 Fat Pikachu. How are you feeling after the win?
Very good. It's very exciting to actually beating this well.
Yeah, dude, you guys are just stacking the dubs right now. So let's start off. Let's set the table. The draft was very interesting. One of the things that stood out to me was the fact that you folks, it seems like both sides really weren't putting a lot of focus early on in the draft in how the bot side was going to shake out. Even though in the end, both top laners ended up being on tank duty, I thought that there might be a little bit of an opportunity for some carry top lane play there. You were ended up on the Ornn duty. What were your thoughts overall on the draft that you folks put together and what you ended up against?
I think our draft is a pretty solid, like a very front to back comp. Well, I like the Olympics team as well. I like the pick style they chose. Like it didn't execution wasn't fully there, but it was I like the thought idea.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the definitely was a cohesive strategy or coherent strategy rather that you could see. It just seemed unfortunately Jakunk showed up here with a little mid diff in this game. Let's talk a little bit about your matchup in the top side. One thing that I was pointing out during the game is that when you have an Ornn on your team, you really are just totally happy to just give up a little bit of CS if you can just farm just right outside of your tower. You have the ability to trim the wave and keep it off the tower when you need to with your W, with your Q. And then Kenny Train was able to come up there at one point and get an actual kill, even though, Kazakhs would say are not often trying to play for their weak side top laner with the Ornn. So talk to me a little bit about your experience in this matchup with the Poppy in this game.
Yeah, top is definitely usually an island, especially when I play Ornn. I was quite nice to get a few ganks this time around. And as for the Ornn matchup itself, yeah, as you said, Ornn's like a very good, just like patience lane. I know like if I just sit there and wait it out, no matter how bad the matchup is, I can rely on my mid laner and my bot laners to pull through. And like late game, if they do like miss the step, I give them the Ornn items and we're good to go again.
Let's talk a little bit about just one thing that stood out for us, which was the Kindred in this game. I was curious what your folks' discussions were in this game, because of course the Kindred minigame, it's pretty important if you have the opportunity to shut down the marks. How much were you folks communicating around what was going on with this Kindred to sort of keep her away from marks?
Like we decided to like try to get prio in all of our lanes to make sure that when the time came, we could all come and assist Kenny Train to push push the Kindred out of our like Scuttle Crab. Like on the first Scuttle Crab, we saw like all three of us collapsed on him.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like you guys had the game plan like, hey, we need to make sure this guy stays away from me. He didn't end up. I don't think he ever switched from having Kenny Train marked. By the way, I'm pretty sure I did. I think he had it the whole game, which was pretty interesting. But in the end, it's a dub for Fat Pikachu 3-0, as I said. So tomorrow, I believe you said you'll be matching up against Pentakill Team OPs. What are your feelings on that matchup?
I hope I think we'll do fine. I hope this time around I get to play Pantheon. Like this time around, every game Pantheon gets banned. I'm not sure why, but this time we had the opportunity, but we wanted a different team comp, so we lost a chance. But I think this time, I hope we get it.
Don't ban Panth. You heard it here first, folks. Let the man play Panth. So, folks, that's gonna be it. That's game one in the books. We have another Fat Pikachu win, but we are moving forward with game number 2. It's gonna be Art of War Esports versus Universal Basic Income. We'll see you all very shortly. Don't go anywhere.